prayer of silence.
Prayer of silence.
We can just say our Father together. That way I don't have to say too much. Name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Our
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Amen. The Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. Chris said, just talk louder to get better. I'm like, I drove her crazy whispering yesterday. You know how wives and husbands can just drive each other?
No.
No. Good. Maybe Barbara has a different answer. And it was really funny because she said, just stop whispering. So I implore you to be patient with me. My voice crackles. I was telling Dave and Barbara that I'm back going through puberty. So my hair is gray. Oh, we have to laugh at ourselves. Okay, so today we're going to cover the rest of the book. And we're starting with Evangelization. So it's around page 140 something. So if you get to 140 on the left, you'll see the fourth sign of evangelization. So remember we started with prayer and study and generosity, and now we're on to the fourth sign. And one thing I'll point out right away is this is where Catholics are the absolute worst. We are really good until we get to this one. And this is the one where Catholics fall off the map. A lot of us, okay? This is not our thing, okay? And so he starts off kind of reminding us in the very beginning of this chapter that and the opening part of the book starts off that you change one person at a time, and the person you start with is yourself. You know, you can't try to help anybody else if you don't first become, you know, and in a sense, be one for yourself, you know, be one by Christ. And so that's one of his first messages, is this idea of this win, build, send model. And the idea of winning is to win. Christ wins you over. So you dedicate your life to Christ. Okay? So he makes some really interesting points at the beginning, but I love the if you go to 146, where he talks about our world. In the first paragraph, he says, we've done all these wonderful things like we've explored space and on the internet, but 1/3 of the world's population is starving. And the moral and ethical foundation of our society is being demolished before our very eyes. I mean, how long did it take in any debate, how long did it take in any news telecast lately to just watch things just sort of disintegrate before your eyes? You know, as people would say these half-truths and untruths or omissions and all these sort of very one-sided, lopsided kind of statements. Doesn't take long. And those are the people that are going to become our leaders. Wonderful, huh? So our moral and ethical foundation is so challenged before our very eyes, he says. And then he says we have more and more of what we want. You know, the things we want, things we kind of grasp at, we have more and more of those kind of things, but less and less of what we need. And this became apparent when I was on retreat. How you watch people live so simply, these monks, and they get up, the first prayer is at 3:15 in the morning. Now we would be saying, I need sleep, right? But you really don't need sleep if you go to bed at 8. That's what they do. The last prayer time is 7:45. So from 8 o'clock on, they have what they call solemn silence. And at 3:15, there we were, and we were praying in the morning, and again at 5, and again at 6, and again at 7, and you do this throughout the day. And you realize when you're there that it may not be like what you want, but it certainly is what you need. To be centered and be focused on your relationship with God. So I think we can all agree with that statement. We may have more of what we want, you know, but maybe we have less of what we really need. Just kind of look at people in your family sometimes. You see them have stuff, right? Maybe it's even ourselves. But do they have what they really need? Or is their relationship have with their family, or their friends, or God, or whomever?
Check the garages out.
Yeah. And we see people with more and more money, And yet, look at the rates of drug use and addictions and abuse, and divorce, you name it. I mean, there's all sorts of things that 100 years ago, our grandparents and great-grandparents would look at and go, what happened? I mean, how many people were addicted to drugs in 1900? How many people were addicted to sports gambling? I mean, just things like that. Or the internet.
That's the check. None there.
Not that, right? Their cell phones. You see what I mean? I mean, we have all the stuff we think we have to have, and yet they didn't have all that stuff. Look how society was. And he makes the point at the very top of that page, if you jump back to 45 for just a second. He says, the world is, the second line, he says, parents seem universally concerned about the world their children will grow up in. And they go to 146. When I speak with grandparents, they often tell me they don't like to think about the world their grandchildren will inherit. I mean, and so he sets a grim reality before us. And then he says, but you know, we as Christians, he goes on to the third paragraph there, most people would agree the world is a mess, or a bit of a mess. As Christians, we refuse to believe it has to be that way. It must be so. We believe something can and should be done about it, and we're called to play an active role in the transformation that's so needed. Okay? So, he wants to make sure we understand that while we recognize the reality, we also have to recognize our responsibility to transform the world. And I love Blessed Teresa of Calcutta's quote the best, when they said, well, we can't be like you, you know. You're Mother Teresa. Nobody can be like you, Mother Teresa. And she said, find your own Calcutta. Maybe that's right in your own home. Maybe it's right in your own little circle of friends or whomever. Find your own Calcutta and be who she was to her community, you be to that community. It's a beautiful thought. It's what I think we feel so helpless sometimes, you know. And she really got it right down to one person maybe, or a small family, or just a few friends. Just make your own Calcutta. And when they see you, they see Christ. And when you see them, you see Christ in them. That was her way of seeing everything through those eyes. So he talks about some of the struggles in the church. And if we put it in the 148, he makes a wonderful point. And he asks at the top of the page, you walk into a Catholic church, do you see people that are focused on changing the world? He said, probably not, you know. And the second paragraph says, this is part of our great mission. We may have seen a lost sight of it, and we seem obsessed with maintenance and survival. So he uses this phrase, are we thriving, or are we just surviving? And he challenges us to thrive, okay? And he uses the term mission or maintenance. This is the question that our times, he says, are laying at the feet of the church. And he says we have to know what our mission is. And sometimes we're almost on defense. You know, we're just maintaining what we have. And being on offense, in a sense, means evangelizing, right? Not just circling the wagons and pulling back, but moving forward, okay? So he makes a negative point, but I think it's right on. At the top of 149, he says, the last remaining socially acceptable prejudice in America is to be anti-Catholic. That's okay. Don't be anti-racial, or don't be anti-sexual, or don't be anti-LGBT, or don't be anti-same-sex marriage, or an anti-whatever. But boy, you can be anti-Catholic. That's good. That's what it's done. So he says, in our hypersensitive, politically correct culture, which preaches tolerance, which we do, right? Everything is tolerated, from the perverse to the insane, but not Catholicism. We get picked on pretty mercilessly. So that's his view. Okay. Then he, in the next paragraph, says, well, why do you think we're attacked so much? He says, because people realize how powerful the Catholic population is. Because we're, 20-something% of the population in the United States. So he recognizes, he says, recognize that we have so many people in high positions, like Supreme Court justices, congressmen, senators, and so on. So that's one of the reasons that, I have to keep the attack on the public so that people can't be too Catholic out there. People won't get reelected, things like that. Okay, so he wants to focus this on his principles at the beginning. And this is the key thing, the best way to live. This is on 150. And this is one of the things I think that as Catholics, we really, even getting away from just talking about our faith, really need to talk to people about this. If we really believe that being Catholic is the best way to live, then that's what we need to explain to people. Because later on he'll talk about how we make a connection, and it's really sad, but we don't, between what we believe and the way we actually live. And just step back for that for a second. We fail to make the connection. In other words, if you were with your neighbors or your friends, people actually say, I can tell the Wassels are Catholic because of the way they live. And for a lot of people, they go, I had no idea you were Catholic. But that may not apply to you too, because they know you're not there on Tuesday nights. Something's different about them. Because on Tuesday nights they're at church. Who goes to church on Tuesday nights? And I'm sure there's more than that, at least with Barbara. I lost my voice, but I haven't lost my picking on today. But, I mean, it's so true, do we really believe in our hearts that we found the best way to live? And how would we explain that to people? And so, when I met with the young people so many months ago, I said, well, what difference does it really make if you're Catholic or some other Christian faith or not even of any faith? What difference does it make right now? Because a lot of people think, oh, I'll go to heaven. But right now, what difference does it make? And the answer should be because this is the best way to live here on earth. Right now. Why? What's different about it? And that's what he gets at there. He wants to make sure we can say, this is why my life is the best way to live. Because if we can't explain that to somebody, why in the world will they want to become Catholic? If we can't convince them we found the best way. For some people like Dorothy and Marilyn and try to look around, who's the daily mass just about it. I guess it's us mostly. Gene, he's there because I know he serves, I see him. Some of you can't go to daily mass, but for those people that do, I guarantee you they're not there because they're guilty or because they're holy. It's there because it makes them happy. It's the way they are now. If they miss mass, what do you feel in the morning if you don't go to mass?
Going to mass is just the most beautiful part of my day. And there are times when I can't make it, I really feel badly that I have missed the happiest moment of my day.
Right.
And so, I'm not holy, I'll tell you that.
Amen.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Dorothy. You're made in His image. You're holy.
It's a wonderful experience for me.
That was nice.
I love it.
true.
I just love daily mass.
I should have said you are holy, but you're not holier than everybody else. Just because you go to mass.
You're receiving the Lord in the Eucharist daily. I do the scriptural prayer.
Yeah.
If I can't be
Right.
present to receive the Eucharist, that I can receive it spiritually.
Yeah.
That's what I pray every day.
It's wonderful. Yeah. And that's the most important part, of the best part maybe of your morning or your day. Do either of you have anything to add, Marilyn or G?
Say again?
Do you have anything to add to that, what Dorothy said about daily mass?
Not really, other than the fact that what she said is absolutely true. If I miss it, I feel like there's something empty in my day.
Right.
Starts our day.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
But
for
I
those that
disagree. I disagree with Dorothy that she isn't holy, because everybody's holy. We're
Right.
all made in God's image and likeness, and that makes us holy.
Yes,
Yes.
I
Oh,
think
thank you.
that is absolutely right.
She's stretching a point there, but.
No, we're not. But yeah, and it doesn't make us holier than anybody else. That's really the main point. Because sometimes people think, oh, those people that go to daily mass, they must be holy. In fact, the people that go to daily mass know that they need to go to daily mass because it's the best part of their day. And when they don't go, they know something's not quite 100%. Other people do it through their morning prayers, or they're reading the Gospels, or their quiet time, or something. But one thing about these dynamic Catholics, he'll point out, is it's a very common thing to include that prayer as part of their lives. Okay, so this best way to live then, for some people it starts that way. For other people it starts with some other activity related to their faith, okay? For people that have no faith, we would argue, you've not found the best way to live. Because you're missing the whole point. Because God is your creator, and you're created to know, right? To love and to serve Him and your neighbor. And so if you don't know that, you haven't even begun to encounter the best way to live. Because you're missing out on the key relationships that you're meant to have with God and your neighbor. And you don't love your neighbor the same way when you don't know God. You just don't. Be the greatest social activist, social worker in the world, but if you don't see Christ in that person and they don't see Christ in you, it's a human activity. It's always different about Blessed Teresa. She brought Christ to them. She saw Christ in them, and they saw Christ in her. Lots of people feed people, lots of people care for people. Why was she different? She brought something no one else was bringing to the level she did, right? She exemplified it, okay? So, knowing this best way to live. So, he has 3 principles at the beginning here in 151. His first one's the one he espouses all the time. I won't spend much time on it. You become this best version of yourself, okay? So we won't go into that, but it's basically, you're just always trying to be that person that God created you to be. So if we put the ideal Dorothy up there, and Dorothy looked at it, she said, that's not me. Right? Because you're not perfect yet. So our goal is to always work toward that best version of yourself. Dorothy may say, I'm 89% of the way there. Great. But she might see something that's not quite there. Now, Dorothy would say, no, I'm probably 11% there, right, Dorothy? All right? But that's the point, okay? Second principle is virtue. And he just makes the point that we should all strive to be virtuous. Whatever particular virtues we need to have. I always look at virtues as the opposite of the deadly sins. Father Bear taught me that, you know. So if you pride your sin, being proud, then work on your humility, you know. Whatever your sin is, then work on the other side of it. Okay? All right. Third principle, self-control. And I love this one because he says, in the 5th line on page 155, he says, under the third principle there, without self-control, we are incapable of delaying gratification. And then he lists the 4 big items, he says, that are the dominant philosophies of our age. Individualism, it's all about me. Hedonism, it's all about gaining pleasure. Relativism, which is the I'm okay, you're okay, and so everything's okay. And minimalism, which means what's the most I can get for the least amount I have to do. What's the least I have to do to get to heaven? What's the least I can do to, you know, be a mom or a dad or a wife or a husband? What's the least I can do? It's always asking the wrong questions, okay? But I love this idea of without self-control, we're incapable of delaying gratification because, you know, when we were growing up, at least in my case, I remember we had lots of delays in gratification. We didn't, at least, maybe I was a little bit good. I don't want to say that publicly. People think I'm proud or something. I wasn't drinking when I was 12. I wasn't smoking. I wasn't dating. I was playing golf. I couldn't get in too much trouble. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to do adult things when I was 13 and 15 and 17 years old. Just wasn't. But today, a kid that's 16 years old, and you ask them about their life experience, it's terrifying. They're doing stuff that we didn't do until we were married. I mean, and part of this is this delaying gratification. We look forward to, like, not knowing what the sex of our child was going to be because we wanted to find out when they were born. But today, after so many months, everyone has to know not only what sex it is, but what you're going to name them, etc., etc., etc.
Well, how many people have had, how many mothers here have had their babies sick, found out, and then giving birth to the opposite
That
sex.
happens.
Oh, I have a story.
I mean, I got some too. I got
Yeah.
7 sisters and 4 brothers that can.
My wife was gonna have a daughter, okay, and she's all fired up about having this daughter. And sure enough, came delivery time, and she's just, oh, isn't she pretty, isn't she lovely, Erin's gonna be a wonderful daughter, and the nurse held him up and said, right up in front of her, look closely, mother.
Seriously.
He wound up becoming a Kevin.
Yes, there you go.
She tried to name him Eric, and then a day later she changed her mind and named him Kevin. But I died laughing. I was.
Well, my sister-in-law was a nurse.
Huh?
My sister-in-law was a nurse, and the doctors told her she was gonna have a girl. They had all the girls' clothes already, and come birth time, I mean, she
Don't you
gave
love
birth to a boy.
Yeah, they get all these presents in advance because they've already had the test and so on. I've walked into people that have done that. They've got scads of stuff in this bedroom ready for the baby.
Yeah.
It's a boy.
Yeah. Well, just one little example. But just think about when you would ask a girl on a date. Now the girls ask the boys. And then what's the dating process now? I'm gonna get graphic, but let's sleep together, find out if we're compatible sexually, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where a lot of people start now. I mean, they don't have a process by which they get to ask each other on a date, and maybe a second date, and then maybe, remember the words going steady? That was a big deal. And then engagement. I mean, now people start living together to see how it goes. So this idea of delayed gratification is huge because he's saying, you know, things come in time because there's a logical, normal progression where people mature into things. And then they make adult decisions.
Well, you have to know you have to know what it takes to build self-control.
Yeah.
You know, now we learned a little of this in Alpha a while back.
Mhm.
You know, 4 things: faith, trust, love, and confidence in the Lord. And you learn this inside.
Yeah.
You look inside yourselves at that point to do this. But that's the nugget that says self-control.
Yeah.
Now, you can use that, as I see it, you can use that, okay, to rearrange and make your life better. You know, what was it we heard from Dorothy? I go to Mass every day, and if I don't go, I feel like something's missing.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing the self-control
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you understand the principle.
It's part of you. It's part of who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you build that. Right. Yeah, that discipline. Yeah.
And I'll
So-
shut up.
That's great. And then that's one of the things he points out is that's one of the things we really have to work at is delaying that gratification. For like Mary Ellen through RCIA, I'm sure you would have just liked to start taking communion. The first week you decided to become a Catholic, but they didn't let you do that, did they? They said, you gotta wait till Easter Vigil. Was it worth the wait? See, she's nodding, that's good.
No, I had communion as a child. with
Okay,
family.
but that's okay.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, a lot of people did.
You know, so it's those kind of things, it's just that idea. So he summarizes it on page 156, and he says about the best way to live, these 3 things: becoming the best version, virtue, and self-control. Okay? And then that 3rd paragraph, it is also important to note most people's knowledge of and dedication to these 3 principles is minimal. Most people are dedicated to individualism, hedonism, relativism, minimalism. And therein lies the challenge for anyone who wants to change the world. You gotta get people past the focus on themselves and past the focus on pleasure and the focus on everything's okay all the time and the focus on minimalism, you know? What's the least I have to do? Ask them what's the most you can do, you know? The great quote by John Kennedy, you know, ask not what your country can do for you, right? Ask what you can do for your country, just turn it around. And that's essentially what the challenge is to turn it around. Get people not focusing on themselves and their pleasures and their philosophies and so on, but instead focusing on their faith and on others. Okay? So those are all important things. Okay, so on the top of 158, he says Jesus' answer on how's the best way to live is at the top of 158. It's love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's how we answered that question. Live a life of love of God and of neighbor, and love yourself. Okay? And so, he says that is the answer to the question. Now, at the bottom of 158 is where he transitions into evangelization, because he says, so that's where we get to the heart of the matter, loving God, loving neighbor. But now, if you know that, then what you want to share that. And that's what he says at the bottom of 158 in the last few lines. If you do believe Jesus leads us to the best way to live, isn't then a natural consequence that you want to share it? And that's evangelization. Helping them to discover the love of God and the wisdom of God's ways, helping people live their best possible life, and become the best version of themselves, helping people discover the best way to live. So I'll just give you an example. Chris and I have been married 26 years, so we'll be 27 this year, and I'm going to be marrying my niece, my godchild, and my new nephew in October. Now I could just go through the motions and just do the ceremony and be the deacon and all that. But what I need to do, and I know I need to do, this is sit down with them and say, you know, how our marriage worked. Now this is going to hurt her because her mom and dad got divorced. But I need to point out the difference. And it isn't about what I did. It isn't about what Chris did. It's about what God did. And that's what people don't get. It's that simple in lots of ways. And sometimes you have no choice. Husbands, wives have to be divorced because of situations. But for us, it wasn't always about me and her. It became about a couple in God's hands. Now, it didn't happen at the beginning. I didn't know. But eventually, that happens. You recognize that. I wish I would have known that when I was going into it. But they have an opportunity to hear from their uncle. Maybe not the opportunity. Maybe the burden of her. Okay? But I'm going to tell them, look, you're going to struggle sometimes. He's not going to look like the groom 24/7 for the rest of your life. And she's not going to like the pride. You're going to get old. You're going to get gray hair. You're going to get a belly. And so on, right? And you're going to lose your voice. Right? Crazy. Yeah. But you get the point, right? I mean, somebody needs to tell them. This is the best way to live, is develop a relationship with God and share it with each other. Share that love of God in your family. Pray before meals. Tell each other you love each other. Etc. Okay? Because kids don't hear these things, adults anymore. You know why? Because we're politically correct. Sure. We don't want to tell our values as though we're imposing them on them, so we don't say anything. You know? But we have to. So we have to tell them what the best way to live is, and it comes down to what he said there. Get God involved, you know? Discover the love of God and his wisdom, and then help people discover that best way to live in a relationship with God.
Well, I think a point that comes up here too is the fact that you say evangelism, okay? Well, what's your first impression of what evangelism is?
Yeah.
It's the loudmouth guy on the corner of the street making noises with God's words and all this, not making sense necessarily. But it's this, I'm gonna push you.
Right.
I'm gonna yell at you and I'm gonna push you. That's evangelism.
Yeah.
And yet, that isn't what this says. It says, hey, evangelism is quite the opposite.
Right.
You know, I would tell you very honestly,
I'll throw it off.
Yeah. But very honestly, I made the great leap forward when I became a Catholic in 2009 because that old form of evangelism wasn't here.
Right.
A better one was here.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That was simple.
Yeah. I mean, he makes the point on the bottom of 159, about 10 lines from the bottom on the right, it says relativism is the enemy of evangelization. Because if always and women are equal, there's no need to lead others to a better life. You know, it's like, well, how the heck do you know you have the best way to live? It's kind of like, you don't sound very humble. You sound very conceited and arrogant, right? But yet, if we believe it, someone asked Dorothy, we notice you always leave about 8:30 in the morning and you come back around 10. And Dorothy says, oh yeah. Doesn't want to tell them. Let's just pretend. That wouldn't be you, but let's pretend. Okay?
People are astounded when I tell them I go to mass
Yeah.
as often as
And then they want to know why.
What do you go to mass? What
You don't
do
have to
go
go.
mass for?
You don't have to go.
I said,
Why would
because
you do
I
that?
want to, you know,
Yeah.
they don't understand.
Yeah, because it's an obligation to some people, but they won't, but you want to go. Yeah, those kind of things. So at the bottom, he says a great line. He says, 3 lines, there must be a best way. If some ways of living are better than others, shouldn't we do what we can to help as many people as possible discover the best way to live? One day when we were in Alpha, Deacon Pico said, what Deacon David and I are trying to do here is to change you. I'm sure some of them went, who are they to change us? Fair point. I mean, it's a fair point. Who are we to tell anybody, right? I look in the mirror and I have to tell myself every morning, stop being an idiot. Okay? Who am I to tell anybody? But the point is that's what we're called to do. You know? We're called.
But that's where you have to be careful,
Yeah.
because you can say, listen, I wanna change you, and your immediate reaction is,
Right. Oh, yeah.
hold on a minute,
Right.
you know.
What's wrong with me?
On the other
Or what's
hand,
right about you?
We have to find a way to
Yeah.
change another person such that they don't react
Right.
negatively, but they
Yeah.
respond positively. And
That's where it's gonna
that's
get-
the trick.
And that's where he's gonna get into it. Yeah, he's gonna help us a little bit with how to do that. Yeah.
Hey,
Yep. Help us as we go. Okay. So, in the middle of 160, he has a really wonderful insight into this idea of trying to help people understand what we see and why we want more of it. Okay? And so he starts off at the top of page 160 where it says, I find it fascinating, we almost never talk about heaven and hell. What do you think happens when we die? Well, do you believe in heaven? He says, well, I do. And then the next slide he says, you see, I believe life is just a dim reflection of some infinitely greater reality. In my life, I've experienced moments of incredible ecstasy, and he talks about the birth of his children and so on. He has a perfect golf shot, now that's why I like him, he's a golfer. But these moments are fleeting and impossible to hold on to, but they provide a glimpse of what God has in store for us, a preview. Also experience the love of God and love of others, and what it would be like to see these moments in heaven as the norm. Right? That's just the way heaven is. We see these glimpses of what God has in store for us. Now the best glimpse is at Mass. Because when we're at Mass, we're actually with the angels and saints, we're sharing in the Mass of heaven and earth, we're there. It's a reality of it, okay? The Mass is heaven on earth. That's the best place, okay? And we get this glimpse of worshiping the Father, the Son, and the Spirit in our earthly realm, okay, for all eternity. So we get this glimpse. So we have to say, wow, this is awesome. This is where I want to be.
And then we walk out the door into the parking lot.
Yeah, off we go, back to life, yeah. So he makes the point, though, is that we get these glimpses, so we got to know that we're made for more than just what's here, okay? And we have to live that way. All right. He talks a little bit about hell, about being separated from God. He talks a little bit about purgatory, being a purification process on page 161. And I love the line at the bottom of 161 in the last paragraph. When we do get to heaven, I suspect there will be many surprises. Among them, I think most people will be astounded to learn how much they're loved and how lovable they are. I love that line, because I think I'm going to be surprised at how God's going to go. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to go, but I'm so guilty. I'm so unworthy. Don't remember that time? And he's going to go, I don't care. Read the Psalms. That's what he's saying. Throw a message behind me, behind my back, right? To know how much he loves us, just wants a relationship with us. Not by what, because of our, like Father Michael says, not because we're good, but because he's so good, right? Okay. So he makes the point how we want to share it. So he has this model called Wind Build Send. And it's beautifully summarized at the top of 162, about 8 lines down. It says, God wants to win you with his love and wisdom. He wants to build you up spiritually, so you have the knowledge and habits to live in his love and walk in his ways. And he wants to send you into the world to share his love with others. So that's the model. And it's real simple. From Matthew Kelly's perspective, he says, God's with you, but first he wants to win you over, and then he wants to build you up, as a disciple, and then once you're built up, to send you out to others. And that's a simple model. So I won't go into a lot of detail. I'm just going to hit a couple points. But there's some wonderful questions, like on the right side of 165, if you go a few pages forward, he asks the question at the end of the first paragraph, has Christ won you? For most people, the answer is in degrees. Most of us have been won to some extent. How much? What's your percentage? You know, how much has Christ won you?
Well, we're all masters of terms and conditions.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, is it just yes? You know, when Mary asked, when Gabriel asked Mary, did Mary go, well, let's have a little prenup, and let's talk about this. Tell me more. She just said yes, right? When a priest gets ordained, he doesn't say, well, I need to know where I'm going to be assigned, and tell me what the pay is, and tell me what the benefits are, and let me look at the financial package, and tell me about my vacation days. And no, just say yes. When we were married, how many of us knew what we were getting into? We just said yes. And hopefully we meant till death do us part when we said it. Without knowing. And those are the real yeses in life, right? Has Christ won you? Can I just say yes? Or do I say, yes, but? And how big is your butt thing again? You know? But has Christ won you? And just be able to say yes. You know, yes, yes. So that's what his question is for us. And on the third paragraph on 66, nice little sentence in there about the need for conversion. He says we all need to have at least one really good conversion in our lives. That's an ongoing process in the life of a Christian. So he wants to make sure that we have an experience that we kind of look at and go, this is what made the difference for me. Can I look back at something? Say, this was a moment, or moments, where I realized I wasn't living the best way. I wasn't really saying